Chapter 14, Economics and Environmental Policy. Huh? Don't let the environmental policy heading scare you. This is more about global economic concepts that are conveniently hung on the hook of the environment. Now, the book does this to make itself feel really good and think that it's doing something special to raise ecological awareness. But if publishers really wanted to be green, they would come out with a much, much less expensive electronic edition that's easily accessible that did not kill so many trees. But I digress. We know that the government takes a role in the economy, but why and what is their role? In a perfect system, everything works the way it should. The market's producing the right amount of goods and services at the lowest price with no waste. MR equals MC, and all is good. The only problem is, ain't nothing perfect in these parts. Economists will never admit that we're wrong. Don't let that secret out, but we never admit we're wrong. When surpluses or shortages exist, or when the equilibrium price is not set by the invisible hand, or when there are inefficiencies or anything else happens to come up the works, it's not the economist's fault. The economist operated under a set of assumptions, and when the result was not what the economist predicted would happen, we call that market failure. The market failed to behave the way it should have, so it's the market's fault. When the market fails in a little way, we get the Betamax or we get like Crystal Pepsi. When the market fails in a big way, we get a recession or a depression. Leaving the market to do its own thing is kind of how we got into this mess in the first place. In 1928, the global economy went into the dumpster. German dissatisfaction with World War I reparations, the reliance on those war payments by other European countries, the European buyers being relied on by American merchants, reliance on American capitalization of companies, raising stock values. It was not called a bubble at the time, but it was a perfect storm of bubbles. And just like everything, one piece of the system fails, the house of cards tips, and it takes the rest of the system down with it. The market failed to behave itself. In 1928, the role of the government in the lives of the people, the role of the government in the economy was to do nothing. It was not the function of government to do anything with the economy. They were still operating under the Adam Smith laissez-faire. The invisible hand will soon make things right. But by 1932, FDR was elected by claiming that Herbert Hoover's administration was responsible for the global depression after being in office for only 6 months. Now, there were enough people who lost enough to buy that argument and elect FDR. Again, not saying it's good, not saying it's bad, that's for political scientists. The role of government changes dramatically. Right now, we're trying to figure out what the role of the government should be in the lives of the people in the 21st century, and specifically, we're trying to figure out what the role of the government should be in facing the Rona pandemic. There are 6 ways that the government steps in to regulate the economy. We've talked about this one a lot. It's antitrust and anti-monopoly regulation. The government makes sure that no company or group of companies can combine, contract, or conspire to restrain trade. Externalities are the unintended outcomes of action. These externalities are benefits or costs that are created by the initial transaction. And these costs or benefits are experienced by people who are not a party to the initial transaction. They can come in 2 different flavors, positive and negative. Negative outcome, negative externalities are negative outcomes or costs by actions that are borne by others. At my house, I have a lot of trees and I have to rake up a lot of leaves. It's not as convenient waiting for the green lid trash can to be emptied every 2 weeks, so what I do is I burn my leaves. By burning my leaves in the fall, my actions benefit me. I get rid of the leaves. I create potash to reduce the acidity of my soil. I get to be warm outside, and most importantly, I get to play with fire. However, the kid next door has asthma. The negative externality of my action, the cost, is that he cannot breathe better. He has to use more oxygen than he normally would, and that some of the ashes from my leaf fire blow around into his yard. These are all costs borne by somebody else. I act, they experience the negative results. Positive externalities are spillover benefits. These are the good things that people receive that have put no investment into that action. I grew up in LA, went to the LA School District for 12 years. They paid for it all. I then went on to LA Valley College in the Community College District. They were burdened by 2 more years as me being a music major. They did these things happily. Yeah, I paid tuition at Los Angeles Valley College. To make you all envious, I am old enough that my tuition was $5 a credit, and it was capped at $50 a semester. Now I'm in Oregon. Oregon, even though I got my bachelor's degree and a master's degree from SOU, Oregon had a very minimal expenditure in my preliminary education. They did not help set me up, but they are reaping the benefits of the education that I received in LA. When I was working for RVMC, I obtained a master's degree in bioethics from Medical College of Wisconsin. I did pay tuition, like I did for community college in LA and at Southern. The state of Wisconsin bore some of that burden as well, and they did that happily. So now, if I move to another state, they will be triply blessed because they will benefit from the investments made by Los Angeles, Milwaukee, and Oregon. These are multiplier effects. Externalities are measured by the multiplier effect, the overall change in one variable. This change into account all of the downstream effects. For example, I just got a job offer to teach at the University of Hawaii. In order to do that, I have got to move from Medford to Maui. I would leave Medford, depriving the students of this fine city the benefit of my knowledge, thus knowing I am no longer here. Some students would decide not to continue their education. Others would become dejected and do poorly in the rest of their education. Some might even drop out. They will go out into the world not fully prepared for their new responsibilities, so they are not efficient workers, and the people who hire them have to spend more money to get the work done right, removing money that they could have spent otherwise in the community or given their families a pay raises. This lack of cash derives more people into poverty, reducing the amount of disposable income. The reduction in buying makes the owner fire the worker, who now has to go on welfare or worse, all because I chose to live in paradise. Those are the negative multiplier effects. But I'm now in Hawaii. Aloha. The Valley Isle has me teaching my little classes. I am making the student body enthusiastic about learning, stimulating young minds, and creating excitement. Some of the students hear about it, and the excitement is spreading, and so more people come to Hawaii to attend my classes. They leave my class so excited and so ambitious that they go and do wonderful things as a tribute to their beloved Mr. Torgeson. With all these improvements, life in the Aloha State becomes just that much better. Don't make that face. There are some government regulations, government responses to externalities. First one is elimination. By requiring no negative consequences are created by the action, the negative externalities are eliminated. This is basically the thinking behind an environmental impact survey. What could possibly go wrong, and how can it be prevented? The next one is regulation. If the negatives cannot be totally eliminated, they should be able to be minimized as much as possible. Clean air and clean water legislation is part of this procedure, and all over the United States and in many parts of the world, pollution rights are being sold as commodities under the heading of carbon credits. Negotiation. The creator of the negativity and those affected by its outcome arrive at an agreement where both sides receive an equitable outcome. The people who are being affected by my actions are compensated by those actions. On page 436, you're going to want to take a look at the Coase theorem. Last one, adjudication. We are going to take you to court. Two good movies that talk about adjudication. Class Action with Gene Hackman, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. Civil Action with Travolta, Hackman, and William H. Macy. You could also add Aaron Brockovich to this list.